Calling the meeting back to order at 8:03 on my computer. And I believe we left off at, on the wrong page, excuse me. We left review open records procedures and costs for residents. Trustee Menta, I believe that's your initiative.
Yeah, that, where is that one?
Yeah, right, right there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's another one we had last year, and, I think we just need to, document how we go about doing this and what we are, I guess it's our charges, like, I would like to know how we handle these requests and what we're charging people for it. And then maybe if we just had that information, then we as a board could decide, do we need to make any changes? But, you know, there's, the way the village decides to respond can create either more or less cost. How open we are to giving people the information digitally versus requiring copies, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm not sure if we have actual written procedures about this. So I mean, I guess I just said I need to know more, and I just think it's something important and that we should know about. And if I'm not saying we do need to make any changes, but I'd just like to review what we're doing.
And can I add to that? I 100% agree that we need to document our processes, and this is one that goes to the heart of transparency. Out of the many governments that I've worked in, everybody does it differently. And so the expectation of what am I supposed to expect when I put in an open records? Am I supposed to be going to the clerk? Is the clerk handling open records herself? And in what situation is it not the clerk? Because that will dictate how fast things get turned around, which way they get turned around, and then also the cost. And so we do have a cost. I know everyone remembers this from budget. We have a cost of open records, you know, per page, but that's not what I think Trustee Menta is saying. I think it's more of what is the expectation when someone files an open records request. I still don't have an answer for that. I know that you can wrap it in a few. Rebecca can elaborate with you. Just what is the expectation for the residents? Because staff is doing the best they can, but there needs to be some more sharing of the process with the public. And if you figure out the process and you document it, I think it's be enough.
So a couple questions. Do we have a procedure in place? And secondly, and maybe this is a question for Nathan, but how much?
I'm aware of. No.
And how much? Maybe you know, as President Rose, like how much latitude do the statutes give us in terms of open records requests? Is it all prescribed, or?
They give you a time frame, but what happens is who reviews them? Like, so somebody, a lot of times, I'm going to give you an example. For a trustee request saying I want a document and couldn't get it, that was reviewed by legal, and that was a huge cost. Is every request required to be reviewed by legal, and when does staff make that determination? I'm not opposed to it. I just like to know, so would the public. Or can I expect to get a CD or a thumb drive? And how long will that take to find the document, as well as then do it have to be reviewed? Who does that review? The IT, you know, how are we going about it? We haven't documented the process of getting staff off our servers. And so much Rebecca has in the meantime, but before Rebecca, we didn't even know how to get emails off our servers. So
we ended up having to pay an IT consultant a lot of money to get emails off the server.
So anyways, it would be very beneficial for us to understand that, as well as staff and the residents to be on the same page of, can I expect digital documents? Can I expect a paper document? How long? What are the steps to it that take time so that staff not as well?
Each request might be unique, depending on what you're asking and how much review it takes and who needs to be involved. I mean, we as individual officials may get requests. I don't know if you can always rely on the, Sarah handling it. We each have our own obligations, and the type of records and how they're maintained may dictate how long it takes.
Correct, and that's what we're saying is, what is that? Because request, what do I don't know, I call them back up.
Trustee Kay?
Would it, for the sake of our conversation tonight, would it be helpful for the board, I know it would be helpful for me to know, how much effort it would take to deliver this type of information in order for us to review it? So does it need to really rise to the, level of a 2020 initiative, or could it be referred to JP&L or something and sort of be handled in the course of the day? I know that we like to acknowledge work plans and all that, but I just don't know if the scope is that large.
Well, I was gonna ask if Sarah wanted to comment on our application process or our form that we do have, and what the process on her end is when a request does come in.
Yep, so typically, any open records request is filed at the clerk's office. People will come in, will fill out a paper form. We do accept them over email though, so somebody can send an email with a request of what they want. And we will ask.
I can't hear, I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Yep, so people will come in and either file a paper form at the clerk's office. They always start at the clerk's office. It doesn't mean that I have the record to provide them, but I will disseminate whose office it has to go to. And they can send emails as well. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The expectation on time, I don't know if I could put a parameter around. It depends on the level of the request. Some of them can be done in 2 minutes. The other thing is, if we don't have a record, we're not required to create a record. So we get a lot of requests that it isn't a record, it's asking a question. That's a different type of record.
The residents know that, that's all we're asking for. I'm not doubting
I
the
mean,
process.
we will explain that to them, you know, depending, when they fill it out, to say that this isn't a record, or we don't have a record and we are not required to create one. And we will ask the resident or whoever is requesting the record how they would like to receive it, that if it's by paper, there's a cost. If they want it electronically, there's no cost.
So is there written in, you got the form, does the website have the form, and who do you request it, and just what you said, the basic,
Yep.
it'll be the cost?
Well, it's 10, you know, we'll say, we'll have to research it, and we'll give back to them if they want paper, to say it's gonna be 50 pages at 10 cents a page, this is what it's gonna cost you, please let us know if you'd like to proceed. So we'll give them that information even before we go through the hassle of making the copies.
And
And
some
we
of
don't
our,
charge for redaction.
yeah, some of our challenges are people request electronic copies, which is fine. However, I have to print those
Yep.
out anyway to redact
Yep.
sensitive information. So it's like, that would be something where, you know, do we charge, I'm making the photocopies because I have to. I can't charge for the redaction of it, but I have to go through and redact all that information to then scan it back into a PDF to be put onto a CD. So those are some of the things that we struggle with, just for the information. So we deal with another set of issues for the
You
redaction
got it,
perspective.
yeah. So you have the open records statute, but you also, like, you have other laws that are affecting you too on confidentiality.
Correct, and we are required to have our open records, policy in the lobby, which we do have it posted.
I can just speak from my own experience in going through a couple, cause not all of us are involved in them. Some requests involve multiple departments, so then Sarah's reviewing it, but it does take time to have to go back and review, so it's, for redaction purposes, or for, I mean, one afternoon I spent 4.5 hours, I didn't even get done, you know, and it's like, okay, where do you find it, like, okay, let's schedule for the next week. Because there's other stuff that still has to get done.
It's tough when you have to spend 3 or 4 hours redacting, you know, and it's time consuming, and it's tough to work, you try to work it in your day and get back to somebody as soon as possible, but when you have an 8-hour day and you're spending 3 hours redacting information, you know, it's tough to say we're gonna have it turned around to you in 48 hours.
President Rosick?
Thank you. The other question also comes with people over time that I've asked. They've said, well, how do I get information from the police department? And that's open records too. They say, well, so the police chief had told me in the past, just fill out an open records request form, just walk in and do that. I think it's just beneficial. The staff has their hands full. I just think it's beneficial to set the expectations and make it public. It doesn't matter. I think we're doing it right. And it's hard to quantify and all that, but even the basics, if we just had something that outline the process, and if it's police and it has sensitive information, it may take longer. But what do you do? I mean, if you want a direct request from a board member, what do you do? I really just don't know, because there's nothing in writing. It's just you look at the state statute, I guess.
Any other comments?
I mean, even though I submitted this initiative, I think, it's definitely something we need to be aware of and be thinking about, but I mean, given what's going on with agenda, and I mean, I'd rather have a searchable agenda PDF, frankly, than this. So even though I put it in, I'm not, it's probably in the middle of my priorities rather than at the very top. But I do think, it does, when people have questions and they want to really understand, or they are questioning why or how we made a decision, and they go that route, I just very strongly support that we need to be fully transparent. I mean, another aspect that, we have to be aware of as board members, like texts, for example. I mean, I would love to maybe have Nathan help us out with what on our village, we have Facebook pages that are us representing ourselves as village trustees. I mean, I believe those are public records, so, there's a lot of things that we even know, because we're trustees of records, our own records, and we probably could use some, updates, for ourselves on what kind of things we need to be keeping track of. I mean, I'm not sure how you keep track of texts. Is it every text between one of us about a matter of village business a public record? It probably is. And are we all keeping track of every single text? I don't know. So there's even issues among us as board members that we should be paying attention to.
With those items, I know that we have on deck, but have not had an opportunity to get to that aspect of the communication plan of which we talk about social media. So we have something drafted that's based off of some best practices and advisement that we've currently received from Legal in the League. So we can definitely have that conversation about that aspect.
Okay.
It's in chapters 4 and 5.
So it sounds like
Communication plan.
there's a few conversations we need to have. We need to determine whether this is something that can be done on both sides of the initiative process. But it also sounds like there's some agreement that it would be nice to have a kind of a policy that we could point to and know that we know exactly how we're going to respond to these requests, which could create more efficiency and save some time in staff's day. So any other comments? Sorry, President Rosick?
And that's something that can just, I think Ann, Trustee McKay had said, it's kind of like a fiscal note. What is staff's opinion on just when we have time to refer that to JP&L? We can put it on the list for future done.
I don't know if it's a JP&L item. I just think it's pretty factual.
Well, it needs to go to committee, I'm assuming, it's a policy.
I wouldn't, it would be a standard operating procedure to me. It's not a policy.
I guess
Well,
I would encourage staff to think about if there's things we can put on our website, just procedurally, that provides a little more information where you can, while still being within the statutes and the requirements and stuff.
Yeah, for instance, it's if I may.
No, of course.
On the website, it's under police department, there's an open records request link, but under clerk and customer service, there is not.
Mhm.
So that would just be one,
That would be helpful.
kind of housekeeping. That's what I'm wondering, is this a housekeeping item, or is it a, which then it could go on a to-do list or
Yeah.
whatnot? I know you have a lot. But if there's efficiencies or other kinds of
Right.
considerations, then that's a larger discussion.
Any other comments on the open records procedures and costs? So that, let's move on to implement resource management to Hubbard Park. Trustee Maher, I believe this is yours.
Yeah, and this, Rebecca touched on this. This is following up to our OTI contract that they're currently working on. And I think they're gonna do a report, a preliminary report to the board in early August of their findings. But, in this just recent meeting with them, just to check in with them, they are gonna have a 5-year plan on managing the land management plan and the vegetation management for the area, and they'll go provide the board a very detailed report. But some of their major findings was from north of Hubbard and just below Hubbard up to essentially where the deck is still a very intact, very high level plant community that it is one of the best in southeast Wisconsin. Also on top above the youth pavilion is also a pretty high quality, unique area of vegetation. So, and then once you get north of the deck, it really is just kind of there's invasives, there's spots of prime riparian area, but generally so they're gonna come present to the board how to protect this area, particularly the area, the very high quality areas, and come up with some ideas on, how much effort it would take. But generally, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 a year for 5 years. And there'd be opportunities for special grants. There may be opportunities for EPA grants that we're in